I'm Diccon, I'm from London. I work as a copywriter in an advertising agency, and in my spare time I'm an amateur triathlete. 10 or 12 years ago I found out that I had a slow degenerative kidney disease, which was a shock at first, but when I spoke to the doctor I asked him if there was anything I could do to try and slow the process down, or is there anything I could do to make it less painful or difficult over the years. Unfortunately there's nothing I could really do other than he just said keep fit and healthy. So I joined a local triathlon club and started training for my first Olympic distance triathlon 4 or 5 years ago. After I'd done a few Olympic distance triathlons, I did the London triathlon first of all. I started to read about other distances, which was initially half Ironman and the full Ironman distance, which when I first heard about it when I was doing Olympic distance I thought was a physical impossibility for anyone to do it. I didn't think that anyone who had a normal job and a normal family could ever train or be physically fit enough to do that distance. However, I did the half Wimbledon UK Ironman about 2 years ago, and then that started to make me think maybe with more training and a good coach perhaps Ironman was possible. The Ironman I chose to do was the Outlaw in Nottingham. The main reason I chose to do this was really because when I spoke to the doctor about it, initially he said it with my kidney disease, which had continued to get worse as I'd done longer distances, it would probably be impossible, and if I did one abroad in a hot country it would be even harder for me because I find it very difficult to stay hydrated, or it's very easy for me to get dehydrated, so that's why I picked one in the UK over a foreign event. The worst case scenario for me was when I was actually doing the race, because my kidney function had dropped to about 25%, was dehydration or overhydration, because that would damage my kidneys more than they were already, because at that stage you're kind of holding on for as long as you can until you either need to have a transplant or you have to go on dialysis. In the race, the swim was fine, but I was quite cold because one of the things your kidneys produce is a chemical called EPO, which helps produce hemoglobin, which carries oxygen around the body. So one of the symptoms is you get very cold. So swimming in open water, it was freezing, but once it all got started and the adrenaline kicked in, that was okay. Bike again was quite good. It's quite a flat course that I did, which was good for me again because of hemoglobin. It's difficult to climb hills. And then in the afternoon the sun came out and it got very hot, and this is where I kind of came into slight difficulties because I think I slightly overhydrated. My hands began to swell up. With about 10 kilometres to go I had to see the medic. When I spoke to the medic and told him my condition, what drugs I was taking and my kidney function, he was amazed that I'd even made it to the start line. But he kind of said if you feel good enough you can push on through the last 10k, which I did and eventually finished in 13 hours 26. The last 10k, luckily there was another guy with me who was also competing that I kind of struck up a Ironman friendship with, as you do when you're pushing your body to the limits round a course. I can't remember much about it other than you just have the goal in mind, and when you've got the 10k left you know you're going to complete it, but it still seems like a hell of a long way. When you'll run 10k in training and it'll seem like nothing, but when it's 12 and a half hours into a race you really feel it. It's really mind over body. Your body would just stop. There's something crazy in you that just pushes you. Mentally I felt great. Physically I was exhausted, but I didn't feel ill at all. I mean, I finished, drank a lot of protein shakes and water, had burger and chips. I think I had 2 burgers actually, because you're just starving because you've been exercising for 13 hours, so you can eat anything and just keep eating and then sleep. Next day felt a bit stiff, but again because you've had so much preparation beforehand, your body's actually ready to do it, if you can believe that. And then driving home, stopped at a service station every 2 hours to eat more. And that continued for about a week after. After the Ironman, like I say, my kidneys were at 25%. I went to the doctor a month later, told him that I'd actually completed it, and he was amazed by it. He said, because he initially thought I was only doing another half, he didn't think I was doing a full distance, which he was quite shocked at. He told told some of his colleagues about it. My kidneys after that got quite dramatically worse, a lot quicker. So within July, August, September, within 3 months I'd gone from finishing an Ironman to being on dialysis. I hasten to add, it wasn't the Ironman that caused them to fail. And the doctors have told me this quite clearly as well. It's just with the disease, when it gets to a certain point, it can drop off at any point. So it was kind of my body held out for the race, I guess. The plan going forward with my kidneys, touch wood, is that I have a transplant in February with my brother, who's probably the biggest hero in this story. He's willing to give me one of his kidneys, and if he passes all his tests, the operation should go ahead in February. And then when I'm back up and running, I want to get back into triathlon again, and if the doctors give me the okay, I'd like to attempt another Ironman at some point. But I won't be telling my wife and my immediate family that just yet. The only person I know of, there's a guy in America who's done an Ironman who's on dialysis, and there was a guy who attempted it with a heart transplant, but I don't think he finished it. So as far as I know, I'd be the first person with a kidney transplant to do an Ironman. If you've even thought about it, you're probably halfway there. Now what you need to do is get yourself a good coach, get yourself a good backup team, because that makes so much difference. Don't go out and spend £6,000 on a bike. Go and spend less money than that, and surround yourself with people who know what they're talking about, because it makes a massive difference. You'll probably get injured, but if that's managed, that's fine. Ironman seems it's crisis management more than just doing hours and hours and hours and hours of training. It's having people who've done it before to tell you how to do it, what to do, and how to do it better. I've bored all my friends to death by telling them, if anyone says you can't do an Ironman, you can do an Ironman. If you put your mind to it, you can do pretty much anything you want. You just need the time and the dedication and